I came with my family looking for a better life. You know, I was 9 years old. I had no idea. Nobody consulted with me. Nobody asked me if I wanted to do it. As a matter of fact, they told me, we're going for a week and we'll be back. And one of the things I like to tell, and I agree with Nava, you know, knowing your story and framing your story really helps you propel to the next level of your life, like understanding who you are. And I guess part of therapy, when you go to therapy, is to really understanding what happened to you and how to really get that fire going to know where you want to be. And I know that when I came to this country, I didn't want to be here as a child because I was living a life that felt that it was the perfect thing. You know, I come from a small town in the state of Puebla, which is in the southern part of Mexico. And I had my grandparents, I had my siblings, my aunts and uncles, all living in this community. So as a child, from the moment I left my house to the moment I reached school, I was waving and saying hi. And if I did anything bad, believe me, you know, my parents would know about it. The teachers were, you know, part of the community. So I lived a very sheltered and protective life, and I felt really happy. So when I left, and I always tell this story, and people who know me know this, my biggest concern was what's going to happen to my dog. You know, our dog was going to be left alone. And, you know, my dog's name was Popurri. So I kept saying, Mom, Popurri, who's going to feed him? You know, my dad would say, what about your grandparents? Who's going to feed them? You know, like he didn't care about that. I was worried about my dog. But as a 9-year-old, like, the thing you worry about is the things that you cherish the most, right? And my dog and my pet chicken, you know. So I came to this country with no word, you know, not speaking any English. From a countryside, my parents were farmers. So I have never seen a city. I've never been to the sea. So of course, going to Coney Island was like, wow, you know, the most amazing thing. You know, we used to go every weekend. Central Park was the place to be. And of course, it wasn't easy, you know, in the 80s, you know, when I tell this story, students always like, oh my God, you're that old. Yes, in the 80s, New York City was coming out of an economic depression. So there was a lot of crime. And if you guys seen the movies, you've seen the trains and the train carts, right? All painted with graffiti. It was really scary. My first time in the subway, in this very, you know, very easily impressible mind, I really was afraid that the train coming from the tracks was like a dragon because it was so noisy and so foreign to me that I jumped. I literally jumped when I heard the train coming. And then, you know, all the colors and all those things, you know, really put me in a different space. In 1980, we had no internet. Well, at least not, you know, the military might have had it, but the common people didn't have it. The only way to communicate with my family was either by having them travel to the closest city, and the calls were very expensive, or sending a telegram, and of course, writing letters. So I would write letters to my grandma. I would write letters to my uncles, and each letter said, I love you, I miss you, please take me home. Because I felt so out of place now. I felt so like I didn't belong here. As a 10-year-old, my only dream was to go home. Of course, little by little, I was integrated. I began speaking English. I also tell my story about, you know, being in elementary school and wanting to use the restroom. So I said, you know, how children could be a little cruel, Nava. I had seen some kids, you know, actually wanting to go to the bathroom, but I guess they were shy to ask or something and had accidents. I had a moment when I really needed to go, and I didn't speak English very well. And I know kids had already told me, you know, why you pronounce the Y like a, you know, double L in Spanish. You know, I love the Yankees. And I was like, you love the Yankees? And they would really make fun of me. So I was so terrified to speak. And when I needed to go to the restroom, I said, may I use the pass? Can I go to the bathroom? That was those first words I uttered in English. And they will forever be, you know, in my mind. That kind of made me feel like, oh my God, I can speak. And I was able to use the restroom. So after that, I have to say my parents worked 2 jobs. They really, you know, made sure that we knew that our goal in life was to get an education. And the sacrifice that they were making was for us to have a better life. So they invested everything they had and all the strengths and energies to make sure that, you know, I have a brother, Miguel Angel, and a sister, Oneida, to make sure that we had everything we needed to go to school. My father has a 6th grade education. My mother never went to school, so she didn't know how to read or write. She was always asking other people to kind of guide us through the process. So it wasn't easy, but for sure, you know, I admire them, and I am forever grateful for everything that I have and that I am. That is thanks to them that I was able to have these opportunities in this country. So this is one of the reasons that I have to tell Nava that education means so much to me, because education has opened up all these doors and opportunities for me. Um, so I was able to finish, middle school, high school, and then go to college. I mean, when it was time to go to college, of course, they didn't know how to guide me. So I was fortunate enough throughout my educational journey to have people to tell me, you should go to this school, you should really go over there. I would normally follow my friends. So my best friend in middle school, for example, was Fei Wong. Fei Wong said, I'm going to go to this middle school. So I went to that middle school. And then I said, my other friend said, I'm going to go to high school tomorrow. So I went tomorrow. And it was like, I guess, fortunate choices that I made along the way. I really wanted to be a pilot. So I heard there was an aviation high school in Queens. But my dad had, some common sense and said to me, hey, Susan, you're going to travel 2 hours to the high school and back. And I said, no, I guess that doesn't make sense. So I ended up going tomorrow when my other friends went. And I had really good education at that high school. And when I was applying to college, my high school advisor said, Jesus, have you ever heard of Brooklyn College? And I hadn't. I had no idea. She said, you can get a high quality education. And guess what? You can get scholarships too. So I went through the process of applying. I applied to 12 schools. I got accepted to 10. I was very fortunate, but I didn't know how I was going to pay for the private schools. I didn't know about loans. I didn't know a lot of things. So this school got me a scholarship. So I chose Brooklyn College because people told me they was really good. And guess what? It was the best choice I made, because not only did I belong and I felt like, it was a place that I was able to grow and be the person I'm today, but I encountered a lot of people that were really caring. I was able to have a connection to the support systems that I needed. Believe me, the first semester, I really questioned myself, do I belong here? Not because people were mean to me or I didn't understand anything, but it just felt foreign to me. I felt like they were going to ask, oh, Jesus, you don't belong here. You need to go back to, to the high school again or something like that. But little by little, I began to make Brooklyn College my space, my place to be. And of course, throughout Brooklyn College, I joined clubs. I was part of student government, the Academic Club Association. I participated with student affairs. And I got to tell you, if you guys get a chance to do that, it's the best thing you can do, because you get to know other people. I joined the Indian Heritage Club, the Chinese Culture Club. I joined the, PRA, other clubs. And I spend more time at Brooklyn with my activities than at home. So in a nutshell, Nava, I think those were 30 seconds of who I am, why I value education, why I think immigration is such a important topic for our society to know about, and to say, look, immigrants are no different than people born here. We care about our families, we care about this country, we want to be better, and we just want a better life.
Well, I can't tell you how thankful I am that you shared that story, because I've known Jesus for many, many years. I don't know, maybe 20 years. How long have you been at Brooklyn College, Jesus?
I just turned 25.
Okay. So I've always bumped into you as long as I can remember. You and I were, we had a lot in common in fact, in that we worked in the administration, and yet we were also involved in community activism. So you were a student, how did you get to the type of work that you're doing? Can you talk a little bit about your trajectory within the Brooklyn College? It sounds like you were very involved in student activities. Then what happened?
So when I was growing up in Tulsingo, which is the hometown that I came, I remember watching the launch of the space shuttle. And my father asked me, he was growing watermelons, and we would go water and we see the rabbits at night and scare them from eating the watermelons. I said, I want to be an astronaut. I want to go to the moon. That was my idea as a child of what I wanted to do. Of course, once you come, of course, at that moment, my father said, but there are no rockets in Mexico, right? There's no space program in Mexico. We have to go to the United States. And to me, it was like something impossible. Like, well, I'm here. I guess I'm never going to go to the United States. I guess I'm never going to be an astronaut. When I had the chance to go, I was like, of course I'm going to be an astronaut, right? And of course, going through the process and going through the educational system, I realized that I have to be a little bit more realistic. But at the same time, getting to Brooklyn College, one of the major thing that I tell students is to follow their dreams in a way that's at least your passion, and to be knowledgeable about yourself in terms of what's going to make you wake up in the morning and be willing to say, oh, this is what I want to do tomorrow, and not feel like, oh my God, I'm making $1 million, but this doesn't make sense, So I got advice from a professor when I came in. I came to Puerto Rican Latino Studies department, and although I wasn't a major in pearls, I saw my friends were there, and it was through one of the Hispanic Heritage Month celebrations that we had, that we came together and we called it Familia Latina. It was all the Latinx clubs that came together to celebrate Hispanic heritage. And it was through that process that I got to know Professor Nadal and other folks in Pearls that kind of got me some advice and, kind of guidance to navigate in Brooklyn College. I also started asking questions about getting a job on campus. So I reached out to the undergraduate dean's office and I met Kathy Gover, who was an assistant dean at that time. And I knocked at her door and I said, "Hi, Dean, I'm here. I'm a freshman. I'm wondering if you have a job." And she, without a doubt, said, "You want to work?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, we got a job for you." So I became an assistant. It was like the lowest title there is like a college aide. I remember making $2.25 an hour. And he was just getting to know what the college life was like, what people did in college. And just getting to know it. It never occurred in my mind that I would end up working at Brooklyn College in any of the positions that I saw. But it was just getting experience through the different offices. From there, I went on to Seek. I went to admissions. I worked for student affairs. And eventually I ended up, working in academic advisement. But every single step was really because somebody guided me to the next step. But always following my desire to make a difference, my desire to help somebody, my desire to know that I made a difference because somebody made that difference for me. So I think, does that answer the question?
Yeah, you get an A for that answer. Let me ask you this. How did your trajectory in your career, or you came in as a college aide, it wasn't a career at all. Who would know that where you ended up? How did that affect your simultaneous education? Did you plan to major in higher ed or get a master's in higher ed? Or
I'm going to tell this part of the answer now, but I don't think students should hear this. Like I said, I had many ideas in my mind, so I wanted to be a filmmaker, right? So I started taking film courses in the beginning. The next thing, I wanted to be an accountant. Then I wanted to be a psychologist. Then I wanted to be a writer. So I took modern languages course. Of course, I was going to write in Spanish now. So I had all these things that I was doing. And at the same time, as I was going through the pathways courses, the general education courses, I got to experience physics, chemistry, math, all sorts of things. So I was able to follow, I guess, my own path along the path that I was getting. I know Safong mentioned that they don't have college aides anymore, and that mentors are important according to Anna, and it is. Kathy Gover said to me, there are opportunities here at Brooklyn College for you to work as an advisor. There are opportunities to work. And I wasn't aware that what I was doing in helping students register for courses. So the job as a college aide was helping the undergraduate dean's office register incoming students. So my job was to get the students into the room, give them the courses that were available, and then they would meet with an advisor. I had no idea that I would end up being an advisor. All I was doing, I was working and I loved what I was doing, and students were coming in, and each semester new students came in and I got a job, right? I worked through the summer, through the winter. We always had a job. And of course, little by little, I was moving up the rank. But the invaluable, advice that I got from Kathy Gover was that you can get anything you want to if you are, if you follow the rules and you tell, she guided me through the process. So, and there was also Felicia Weinberg and other people, Dean Jefferson, people who along the way, Martha Bell in Seek, for example, who along the way who said to me, "Jesus, do you want to do this? You don't know how to do this? We can teach you." So this mentorship part, right? This molding of my professional life. And I know the squad over here is getting some molding from the different offices, right? And back in ISSO, for example, we have 4 wonderful students working with us too. I call them ambassadors. So I always want them to know that whatever we're given to them is a piece of whatever we receive to make sure that their professional skills, their aspirations grow.
So now you're the director of your own program. Can you tell us how ISSO came into being? I know Carolina talked a little bit about it, but it sounds like it was a sort of a grassroots movement on campus to advocate for something that a group of people thought was needed.
I don't know how much you've talked about immigration and the waves of immigrants coming to this country, but it's an ongoing thing, right? It happened since the founding of this country. So when I got to this country, I was an immigrant. I experienced, the effects of being a new immigrant. And as I went through the educational journey, I began to realize that there was a need for resources and support systems for immigrants. When I was in Brooklyn College, I realized that undocumented students could go to college. And it is interesting. I don't know how many of you know that back in 1980s, the mayor Ed Koch signed an executive order that allowed undocumented immigrants to pay in-state tuition at CUNY. So there was a ruling that had been in place, and I was able to sort of bring that information out to the community. And we started working with nonprofits and of course I come from the Mexican community. So I was trying to kind of help my friends and family members to understand how they can apply to college being, undocumented or resident, or some of the kids were born here. And I got to learn how things worked out. So when I was in college, one of the things that I was very interested in was in providing services for immigrants. There was no DACA, there was no special services at the time. And so education was something that sometimes people would say, why should I get a college degree if I'm never going to be able to get a job? And I would tell them, the main thing about getting a degree is that you can have that education and have this title, this education, this diploma anywhere you go. Whether you go back to Mexico, you go to China, you go back to Africa, anywhere you go, you're going to have this degree. So it became very apparent that this was important. The second thing that people think about when they talk about the center is legal services, right? They always wanted to know, immigration law is always changing and shifting. So they needed an attorney to talk about what was happening. So we would work with the CUNY Citizenship Now project, which just turned 24 this year, and bring in a lawyer on campus. So from the clubs to faculty members like Carolina and Professor Nadal and other people that have been participating and supporting students, there was this demand to have a center for students. Fortunately for John Jay, a year prior to ISSO opening, they got their center. They got the Immigrant Student Success Center, and they were able to provide all the services that we provide. So they were the first ones. We had been asking the administration for years. There was an Undocu Ally Committee. I believe you're part of the Undocu Ally Committee. So Fung and Carolina, a whole bunch of people. There are about 40 people that were part of this group that was working towards creating an office. Sometimes, and like you see in science, Nava, things happen so fast. You've been working and nothing moves, but then all of a sudden things change and there's an opportunity and you have to seize it. There was an opportunity that Carolina spoke to the president. And I mentioned this last week. The president said, well, yeah, put down a white paper, give me the research, show me why you need an office. And Carolina took that to heart and said, listen, guys, we're going to write this paper. So she took the lead of starting the paper. Professor Reynaldo Ortiz Minaya, Jocelyn Wills, all these people contributed to that white paper. I was asked to submit a portion of it, and then she gave it back to the administration. I always say that, when you want to give somebody homework, it's hard sometimes for them to do it, but she didn't. She followed through and she got it through the administration. And the next question was, how do you want to fund this? How are you going to get money for this? And Carolina was very smart. She said, well, we need to have a private funder. So we would ask the administration to help us. President Anderson and I guess Vice President Galitz approached Mr. Fetterman, who was a funder for ISSO. And the next thing was to sell him the idea. So they asked me to come and meet with Mr. Fetterman. And at that time, I also had Yasmin Ali present on this completion grants idea. And we were both met with Mr. Fetterman. I had no idea that he was going to love the project. But he ended up saying, I want to fund ISSO, and we were able to get the money needed to open up the office, to get the staff ready to go, and to really kick it off in September of 2019. So everything just happened between April and September that the office became a reality. Oh, and also VP Jackson in Student Affairs. He said that he would support having an office under Student Affairs that would work with immigrants. So that's how it came about. It took years, it took many people, but it took one drive, one dream, right? To make sure we offer support systems to immigrant students so they can graduate, so they can come and graduate from Brooklyn College.
And also, it's also about the presentation. Whoever the funder was, you must have, gave him assurances that he wanted to see that this was something that was worthy of his funding. And that's not a skill you can learn in college. Sorry, squad. You can learn lots of skills in college, but that's a serious public speaking, also about presentation, also about storytelling. You're not telling your personal story. You're telling the story of why this department or program needs to exist. So Jesus, I know you have a little bit of a presentation. What we're going to do is Jesus will talk more about the details about the services that you can find in ISSO. And then we will have a Q&A for anyone who has any questions. So if you do have a Q&A question as we're going, you can just put it in the chat and we'll get to it after the presentation. So I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, Nava, thank you so much. I want to introduce the staff, the team at ISSO. You know, I'm very fortunate to have Ana Bartolome, who's a program coordinator with us. We have 4 wonderful ambassadors, and I want them to say who they are, and then we'll start with the presentation. Ana, do you want to say a few words?
Hello, I'm Ana Bartolome. I'm also an immigrant from Spain, and I'm very fortunate to work with Jesus since we started. I'm so excited to be able to make a difference in the community of Brooklyn College and the immigrant students that come here, and hopefully also spread the word through you guys that we exist and that the services that we provide are available to everybody. So I would like all of you to know that we're counting on you to spread the word about who we are. Okay, so please pay attention and follow us on Instagram at ISSOBC, because we have a lot of the events that we do and services that we do all publicized on Instagram. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And I want to present you the 4 awesome ISSO ambassadors. Mari.
Hi everyone, I'm Mari. I'm an immigrant too from Turkmenistan. I moved a couple years ago, and I'm an intern in the ISSO. I learned a lot of things. This is my second week, and I didn't know most of the things that I learned. For example, free legal services. Imagine getting free legal services, because this is capitalistic country. Nothing is free as I was taught. And then in college, I learned that this office offers that. There's academic support, mentorship, everything that students need. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie. Elisa?
Hello, my name is Elisa. I am an intern for the ISSO as well. I'm actually a transfer student. This is this will be my second semester here at Brooklyn College. I'm a sophomore, and I'm so fortunate to be a part of this amazing team of amazing people. ISSO has so much to offer to everybody, so I hope you guys can, hopefully I guess when things come back to normal, you guys can stop at the office and, be a part of our little community.
Thank you. Nizar?
Hello, I'm Nizar. So I'm also an intern here with ISSO. I'm actually a senior, so this is technically my last year at Brooklyn College. So I actually want to say that this was very much a learning experience. I've actually learned more about not just what services are offered through our office, but also who are the people that we serve. So for example, I never really knew about any other I didn't know about other resources that not just the college itself, but also what other individual offices offer to students. So I was also a transfer student, even though I'm not an immigrant student, but I like to think that this is a learning experience for me. And that's pretty much it for now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And Yayi.
Hello, my name is Jai. I'm an intern at the ISSO, and then I'm the transfer student also. This is my second term. ISSO team has so much great thing. Please follow us on the Instagram, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Yayi. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and Jesus, go ahead and we can start with the presentation of our services.
So I'm going to go quickly through this presentation because I feel that answering questions is more important, but I think I want you to give an overview of what we do. So my name is Jesus Perez. I am very fortunate to be the director of this program. And Ana Bartolome is our program coordinator. That's our number, 718-951-5023, and those emails. That number rings on my cell, so you guys can call, you can text me, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you whenever you have any questions or if you want to make an appointment to talk about any specific concerns. Anna, can we go to the next page? So when we talk about ISSO, we think of ISSO as a building, as a house. We think about having pillars of success that help students navigate Brooklyn College. So the main one, of course, the reason for students being in a Brooklyn College is academic support, right? Students come here to get an education, so they need support to get that done. So at Brooklyn College ISSO, what we do is we have academic mentors, right? We have faculty members that work with our office to provide support for students. From everything from finding, how to choose a major, to applying to grad school, to help get writing a paper, or even just getting some tutoring, we have it in ISSO. The second pillar that we have at ISSO is this financial aid scholarship support. The second question that I usually get from parents when they're asking how to apply to college, how do I pay? How do I finance their education? Mm-hmm. So at ISSO, we help students apply for financial aid. Did you guys know that undocumented students can get financial aid from New York State? I bet you didn't, but now you know. So there is the Jose Peralta Dream Act, New York State Dream Act, and undocumented students who finished high school, at least 2 years of high school in New York State, are eligible to get TAP. They're eligible to get Excelsior and part-time TAP. So we work with the financial aid office. Our liaison in financial aid is Santa Perez. She comes to our office and does guide students that apply for this financial aid. We also work with the Dream US. The Dream US is a wonderful private entity that gives $37,000 for students who want to go to college. All CUNY campuses are colleges that can receive scholars and can apply. So I hope that you guys share this information with other scholars, other students who might be eligible. They can apply from high school, or they can apply as a transfer from a community college. We offer free legal services. As I mentioned initially, the number one request from students on campus was to find a lawyer that can help them apply for adjustment of status, that can help them see their situation. Now that we have DACA, we have the lawyer there that's able to provide students with the application process for DACA, and it's totally free. This is a high quality service that has been, this office is a CUNY run office with money from city council that's open not only to students, but their families and the community, at large. The other concern that we have is to make sure that our students are thriving, right? So we want to create a safe space for students, a community that's going to be supportive, right? So we care about mental health and well-being. So we work with other offices to make sure that we have personal counseling, for example. I know Women's Center has yoga and it has other services they provide. And also the health clinic at BC to make sure our students are taken care of. And the last thing that I want to talk about, the pillars, is this community engagement. Research is very clear, right? Students who have an engaging experience at the college graduate. So our goal is to make sure that the student encounters a club, an office, a faculty member that's going to keep them going and helps them throughout the journey at Brooklyn College. Next page, Anna.
I think you went through all of these, but we can go deeper.
So these are very specific examples of what we did in the spring, right? So we had the undocu ally work that we conducted, right, Anna? So we had this, is graduate school right for you? We had a connection, we had an event with the LGBTQ Center on being immigrant and queer. We had how to build a relationship with faculty and staff, which means how to talk to your faculty member. How do you approach somebody and say, hi, Anna, I want to do research with you. Can you tell me more about how to become a professor? So that was a really important workshop that we held this spring, and we'll repeat it in the fall. How to write a personal statement. You're applying for a job, you're applying for grad school. Professor Bank Munoz and Estefania Ponti came to tell us exactly how that happens. And of course, another major partner that we have is the Children and Youth Studies major. Elise Goldberg comes over to the office every week to mentor students as well. Next slide, Anna. So the financial aid component that we spoke about, we had a whole calendar, and we'll have the same schedule as we prepare for the fall with Santa Perez, who's an advisor in financial aid to help you go through your application process, right? Sometimes you apply, but you don't hear back, or you're missing a document, or you get called for verification. Santa meets with the students in ISSO and guides them through that process, or has one-on-one appointments with them. So it's important that you connect with us, or you send students to us so we can connect them with Santa. Next slide, Anna.
Yeah, and we will have workshops again, and you can attend any of them.
And these are open for Brooklyn College students and family members, or people who are outside of Brooklyn College as well, because they're very general. More individual support, they do one-on-one. The free legal services, I want to introduce you to Luz Medrano, who's our attorney sitting over there. That's the office that we haven't seen in 18 months. And it's a very welcoming space. So we provide support and consultation. Sometimes students want to know if there's any way of them getting adjustment of status. So we call that illegal screenings. So lawyers can talk to you about what possibilities do you have to adjust your status. Many students who went to apply for DACA found out that there were other ways of adjusting their status and getting a green card. So it's important for them to meet with an attorney or legal counsel that's trusted, for them to understand what opportunities they have in terms of legal standings. And now I lost my slides, and we're back. So yeah, on Tuesdays last week, we had, in the spring, we had DACA Tuesdays. All 24 attorneys worked on DACA applications, and we worked on a fund to help students apply for DACA. So it costs $495 to apply for DACA. Unfortunately, I'm sure you guys heard of the decision last week. New applicants are on hold. We're hoping that things are going to improve and get better. We're hoping things are going to move forward. But yes, we had support for students who were applying for DACA, renewing DACA, and things like that. Next page. This is part of the Support Without Borders. Every Wednesday at 3 p.m., we come together as a community. So students, faculty, and staff come together, and we talk about what's going on. We do check-ins. We try to support each other. And the last half hour of that workshop, we try to do some relaxation, right? We do some mindfulness. We do some body scans. It depends on the time that we are, and we participate. By the end of those sessions, I got to tell you, I'm supposed to be leading and working. I'm actually a participant that looks forward to that, because I feel so relaxed. I feel like there's some weight that's taken off, my shoulders. So I recommend for people to join us Wednesdays at 3 p.m. The next one. So here's one thing that I really love. We wanted to raise funds for an emergency grant that will come from Brooklyn College. And
hold on, Jesus, that's the next one. This is the general different community.
So this is just, we have this cookbook, and we have, connections with Culture Club, BLMI, and other external organizations. This summer, we're doing summer chats. So Thursdays at 12, any student who is an incoming student or continuing students who have questions, we've been meeting. We have, we come in, we sit, and we answer questions. We guide you to the right place in case we don't have the answers. And our goal is to make sure that we have our doors open to provide some assistance to our students who may have questions and they don't know what to do. Next. Okay. So I think here, I'm going to leave it to Anna, because she's one of the masterminds behind this project. Anna, take it away.
So one of our community outreach and community building programs that we have developed last year, and we want to continue into this year, it's called Multicultural Cookbook Project. And what our goal is to be able to have events where every week have meetings where we share a meal, a recipe of a meal of one of our community members. It can be a student, it can be faculty, it can be staff. And we learn how to make that meal. And we connect the meal that we learn how to make, with the story of why that is an important meal in that family, or for that person or for their family. And we do this with the goal of, at the end of about a year, we're going to publish a book, a cookbook, and we're going to use it to fundraise and to raise, to create a fund for immigrant students, and be able to get that money, give that money as either emergency money or for different resources that we will be able to use for any student. And so one of our interns is going to, or our ambassador, sorry, is going to, Yayi is going to show us how to make fonzo noodle, peanut butter noodles. And one of the things that we're doing, we're learning how to make posts for social media to advertise this program, the cookbook event. And so you're all welcome to come to the event, and also you're welcome to post, to create your own posts, right? Create your own recipe and tell us the story of why that is an important meal in your family. We will on Thursday at 12 p.m. be able to, excuse me, hear the story from Yayi about why this is an important meal for her and her family, which is a meal from a particular area in China. So we're very excited to hear, and you're all welcome to come. I will put in the chat as soon as I'm done talking, the link to the place where you can submit your own recipe and a short story of why that recipe is important to you, or that meal is important to you and your family. Okay, and I'm done. Jesus, next slide.
Last year, we were able to apply for a grant. And we applied to the Robin Hood Foundation, and we were fortunate to receive $300,000 that we gave out to students for food, rent, and technology. We were able to, as you can imagine, the money went by really fast. We've spent it all. And then, like I said, we were very fortunate that some of our students benefited. It wasn't, enough for everybody. We're hoping to apply again. So we'll, make sure that your guys are, following us and knowing, but it will show up something like this saying ISSO Immigrant Student Success Office, COVID-19 Emergency Relief Grant. We really don't ask for much, but if you are impacted by COVID and you need funding for housing, for food, or for computers and technology, this grant will be for you. At this time, there's no more money. Like I said, we will publish this information if we get more in the near future. Next slide, Anna.
That's it. That's the last one.
Again. So that was ISSO in a nutshell. I want to hear your questions. So please, let's go back to the room and hear your questions. Thank you, Nava. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. That looks so delicious. I'm ready to have a go on Thursday. Too bad we all can't meet in person and share the dishes.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have that in person, cooking the dish and tasting it.
So anybody want to raise their hand if they have any questions and or shout it out? Jesus, while people are thinking a little bit more, yes. I know at the Women's Center, if someone says, what do you do there? Or what kind of cases do you see? There's certain sort of profile cases that come to my mind, some, the more dramatic. Do you have a common, are there certain common cases that come to you, or that you are, or others that were more difficult to solve that you worked on? Not naming names, but like the type of cases that you work on?
I like to tell this story, Nava. When Carolina and the other faculty members were putting the white paper together, they did some research and they went into the the database to ask, we wanted to identify how many students were undocumented or needed support systems from our office. And of course, that data is very delicate and is not readily available, right? We can't really find, and students are not tracked or tagged as being undocumented. But we did, there were surveys, and Carolina and company were able to get an estimate of the students using the research skills that they have. And one of the things that that came out of the research that they did was that Brooklyn College, normally in other campuses and across, the United States, the immigrant population is a little slanted towards Latinx students and families. But the Brooklyn College breakdown was along, very evenly divided with a very diverse group of people, 20% Latinx, Asians, people from Africa, people from the Caribbean. We had a vast array of diversity in our immigrant population. And one of the observations that came out of the white paper is that we had students who needed support who were having issues and being undocumented from Israel. I had no idea that existed, right? So I say this because the first student that walked through ISSO's door was an Israeli student who needed help with a lawyer. So we were able to help her connect with an attorney and defend her case and deportation proceedings. And like I said, I told Carolina, I said, Carolina, how did you know? And she said to me, it's called research cases. It gives you concrete evidence. And she was right. There was this need in the college, and we have a vast array of needs on campus. So we have students who are applying for DACA. We have parents who want to know about their situation. Yesterday, for example, I got calls from students who were applying as international students who had stopped attending college but now wanted to go back. So technically they're undocumented now, and they wanted to know if they can still go to college. And the answer is yes, they can still go to college. We get calls for financial aid questions from the DREAM Act, the New York State DREAM Act. How do they apply as undocumented students? What's the process? But we do have those difficult cases that we have to contact our attorney to kind of take care of those needs. We had one situation where we had a student that was stuck back in their country. So I needed to contact Professor Alan Wernick, who's the director of CUNY Citizenship now, to start the wheels moving for CUNY to stand up for that student. So we have a vast array of services and needs that we have here, that we have at Brooklyn College, that we're able to help.
So necessary. Mari, you have a question?
Yes, so I have a question about the cookbook. Is it gonna be a physical book or ebook? How it's gonna look?
Our dream is so big, Mary. We want to have an actual book, and of course it could be an ebook, but we want to have like something that we can hold on, that we can share with people. And I know there's at least 100 people that said they will order the book. So we want to make sure that we have something that's going to be nice to hold, but very tasty to look into and to share. I mean, from the participation already of the slide of the recipes that we received, we have everything, from a dish from Greece, we have dishes from Mexico, we have dishes from the Caribbean. Now we just had one last week. We had a dish from where? Now I'm losing my mind. Jump in.
Marie did it. It was from Uzbekistan.
Yes.
Turkmenistan.
We had dishes from Pakistan. So we have from all over the world. So we just want to enrich this cookbook, and hopefully it will be an actual book, Marie.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Jesus or Anna? Okay, before Sapong, did you want to say something? No. Before we sign off, I just want to let you know, and I have one more question, that next week we are going to profile financial aid office and the academic advisement. So if you want more information about services to help you matriculate in college, please come next week. Tomorrow, we are going to hear from the executive director of Hamilton Madison House, Isabel Ching, who's going to be here at 12 to 1. And on Monday, we're going to have two environmental activists who have been working on the parking lot that now is a playground, a public playground outside of Midwood. If you've been here as long as Jesus and I have, we knew it was a parking lot, and now it is a beautiful, sort of very special garden and a playground for the whole neighborhood. So that's on Monday from 12 to 1. So before we stop, Jesus, if not $1 million, not $5 million, but if you have a wish for the new normal at Brooklyn College, or if we ever go back, what would it be?
Now, it's really, sometimes it's not really a matter of money. It's really a matter of will. You know, I believe, and we've been saying it with ambassadors, that, you know, we want to build bridges, you know, and not walls. So my wish for Brooklyn College is to become a more inclusive place where social justice is really taken seriously, to make sure that all students and faculty and staff feel like they're moving forward together. You know, I believe in collaborations. And like I said, this is just, you know, one example of what could happen at Brooklyn College. You guys are collaborating with ISSO, with financial aid, with other offices. And I think we need more of that. We need more collaboration and building for students. It's really for students' sake. I always tell students, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. So it really should be student driven to make sure that they get the services that they need to make sure that they get to where they want to go, which is graduation, right? We want to make sure that we offer them the classes that they want. We want to make sure they have the mentorship that they need and to get the financial aid that they need for them to focus in getting their studies done, right? I want, you know, I want to say one last thing now, but in terms of becoming allies, right? So you may not be a recent immigrant and you may not worry about it, but you guys can have an impact in supporting immigrants. Right now, for example, our documented brothers and sisters are facing a difficult time, right? There was a judge in Texas who decided that they're not going to allow new applicants for DACA, right? And I don't know if you guys know what DACA is. Do you guys know what DACA is? Can somebody tell me or say it so we can at least know somebody knows? Who knows? Anna knows. It's a really a I call it a Band-Aid. You know, it's a Band-Aid that allows people to feel secure for 2 years. They get a work permit and they get a document that defers their deportation, right? Defer action for childhood arrivals. So every 2 years, the students who are in the program get to renew their documents, but it's not a permanent solution. So this, I guess, decision by the judge really gives an opportunity for Congress to get it together, right? Congress makes laws that affect immigration. So it is our turn to really kind of contact our Congress people and let them know that we want a permanent solution for students, for documented individuals, right? We want to make sure that there is a pathway to citizenship. We always hear pathways to citizenship. What does that mean? You know, many people don't understand that it's not just a matter. Some people ask me, why can't people just become citizens? Why can't they just sign a paper? And it isn't that you can just sign an application, say, oh, I want to join the United States, I want to be a citizen. There's so many complications and it's a complex process and not everybody gets a chance to do it and it's costly. There are application fees and other things that happen. So if you want to do something, you can make a difference. You can contact your elected officials and support and right now stand up for documented individuals. And even, you know, if you know somebody, let them know that you care, right? Let them know that we're here for them, that they're not alone. It means a lot to them and it means a lot to us. So I want to leave you today with that thought and thanking Women's Center Nava Safon for having us today. You know, you're always welcome in ISSO. We look forward to having more, you know, more collaboration and programming together. We look forward to having you our cookbook sessions on Thursdays, and you're all welcome to join us in any of our activities that we have. So thank you so much, Safon and Nava.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, all the ambassadors from ISSO. And it's such a nice get together and to learn so much about your program, which I already knew a little bit about, but to hear more. I hope everyone can take this information, spread the word. We all need to spread the word since we're remote. And even if we're on campus, there's lots of people who don't know about the services that Brooklyn College provides. So thanks everyone for coming. I'll see you all tomorrow, squad members. Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.